an Obama-appointed judge refused to hold Trump in contempt over so-called classified documents. The Democrats are going to stretch this out and milk it for everything they can get. Trust me on that, folks. But if you stick with me until the end of this video, I will tell you what my theory is on why this happened and why we're going to see much more of it in the future. Hey, everyone, welcome back. So Joe Biden's corrupt Justice Department asked a federal judge to hold President Trump's team in contempt for failing to comply with a subpoena related to the Mar-A-Lago documents. They figured that after what they did to Steve Bannon, they could see visions of Trump and his team in handcuffs being brought before a federal bench to answer to the crime of telling the Democrats to piss off with their latest witch hunt. Folks, it is well known the Democrats' judge shop, meaning that for every situation they go into where they need a judge to do for them what they can't do for themselves because they're incompetent or it's against the law, the Democrats shop for a judge that they know will be sympathetic to their cause. All throughout the Trump years, in the White House and beyond, the Democrats were lucky in that federal judges were willing to rule in their favor for just about anything that came up. And that includes things that they knew were unconstitutional because the judges that sit on the federal benches know that there's no repercussions for anything that they do. I think that's all changing now. You thought that all of this nonsense going after Trump for doing something with the documents that just about every president since George Washington has done was over. Well, guess again. The Justice Department in May issued Trump a subpoena to return so-called classified records that were stored at Mar-A-Lago. I've shown this in other videos and in numerous stories that I've written about this topic. On January 19th, 2021, Trump was still president for one more day, which means that he had all the powers of the executive branch of the president who runs the executive branch. And one of those powers was when he wrote a presidential memo, seen here, where he explained he declassified the documents that were at Mar-A-Lago. It says Memorandum on Declassification of Certain Materials Related to the FBI's Crossfire Hurricane Investigation. Okay, so the Crossfire Hurricane Investigation, in case you don't know, was Obama's FBI and intelligence community spying on the Trump campaign, which led to the Russian collusion lie that Hillary created, the whole dossier or dossier if you're liberals. And it led to all the problems that plagued the Trump administration for 4 years that never should have happened, okay? It doesn't matter if the current president, the bonehead in chief, reclassified these documents because Trump declassified them prior to them being moved to the Mar-A-Lago location. So let's just go over it for a second. So it says, to the director of the Central Intelligence Agency, it's a memorandum for the Attorney General, Director of National Intelligence, and the CIA. Okay, so the subject, declassification of certain materials related to the FBI's Crossfire Hurricane. By the authority vested in me as president by the Constitution and the laws of the United States, I hereby direct the following. Declassification and release. At my request on December 30, 2020, the Department of Justice provided the White House with a binder of materials related to the Federal Bureau of Investigation's Crossfire Hurricane Investigation. Okay, portions of the documents, yada, yada. So what he's saying is that the FBI provided him with a binder of evidence, okay? Now, that evidence, okay, points to all the documents that were moved to Mar-A-Lago, all right? They were declassified. So the press and the Democrats keep saying, oh, it was all classified BS. They were all declassified. Folks, just to show you how one-sided justice is under the Democrats, Barack Obama, we did a story on this, Barack Obama has classified documents inside an abandoned furniture store with no security whatsoever. And his office after the presidency, literally wrote a letter to the National Archives and Records Administration, NARA, saying that they had declassified and classified documents at this location, as if telling them, yeah, we have classified documents there. All right. So in other words, that means that Obama admitted that he had classified documents moved to that unsecure location after he was president. Otherwise, they would be declassified. Okay? Because he had the power as the president to declassify. No one gives a rat's ass about that. Now, the DOJ asked U.S. District Judge Beryl Howell. Now, she's an Obama appointee for all you liberals out there. They asked her to hold Trump's office in contempt for failing to return all the documents. The totally bankrupt, bereft, and compromised Merrick Garland from the DOJ sent FBI agents to search Trump's New Jersey Bedminster Golf Club and the Trump Tower in New York in what they claim was to, quote, attest they had fully complied with a May grand jury subpoena. Folks, this is one of the evil ways that Democrats operate. They knew they weren't going to find any documents in these other locations. They just sent the FBI in to go raid those places because they knew that the misinformation fake news media and Democrats like Eric Swalwell and Adam Schiff for brains would jump on that bandwagon and say, you see, Trump had documents at these other locations as well. But in the end, no new materials were found at either of these properties. It was all done just to get it into the news cycle, to continue to pound the idea that Orange Man bad in the American psyche. Now, the judge refused to hold Trump in contempt, and she told the lawyers on both sides to work out their dispute among themselves. Now, there's a reason for this, and I think I'm the only one so far who's come up with this theory, and I think I'm right as to why this happened. And I think we're going to see more and more of this happening in the very near future. There were a lot of times over the last 6 years when you thought to yourself, how the hell could these judges go along with this stuff that the Democrats are pushing at them? You know, don't they realize that the rulings are unconstitutional and that many of them are just petty to the core? Of course they did. I think the judges went along with the Democrats' bullshit all along because they thought that they were protected and that they would rule with the rising tide. Right? The populist version of the leftists. Now, after Musk has released how the federal government was involved in censoring Trump and many others, judges no longer want to have their name involved in Democrat witch hunts. Musk's unveiling is having consequences that no one ever thought about. I mean, think about this. Judges all along went with that rising tide because you had, well, Twitter, okay, was censoring Trump. I mean, they banned him. President of the United States, they banned him. They banned a video that he made asking for calm and asking the January 6th protesters to go home, to respect law enforcement.
I know your pain. I know you're hurt. We had an election that was stolen from us. It was a landslide election, and everyone knows it, especially the other side. But you have to go home now. We have to have peace. We have to have law and order. We have to respect our great people in law and order. We don't want anybody hurt. It's a very tough period of time. There's never been a time like this where such a thing happened, where they could take it away from all of us, from me, from you, from our country. This was a fraudulent election, but we can't play into the hands of these people. We have to have peace. So go home. We love you. You're very special. You've seen what happens. You see the way others are treated that are so bad and so evil. I know how you feel. But go home and go home in peace.
They banned that. They kicked it off their platform. Why? Because they wanted more riots. They wanted things to happen. It's the only conclusion you can come up with. Okay, so now that Musk has released all this evidence, and there's far more to come, and some that I understand is more damning to the Democrats, okay? So Taibbi's unveiling yesterday, on Friday, was the one that showed that the federal government was involved with this, okay? That they were involved in a lot of the censoring, all right? So that's going on, and what you're going to see is more and more judges are going to say, screw that. My name's not getting involved and tied up with that BS. Let the Democrats hang for that. Now that it's known that there was serious corruption. I mean, think about it, folks. Our federal government interfered in an election. These Democrats are the ones that say that there was no evidence of election fraud or interference. Well, there is. We now have it. Okay, what are they going to say now? Oh, well, it didn't do enough to change the election results. Sure it did. Folks, there was 4 solid years of trashing Trump. Okay, that it was all election interference. Everything the Democrats did under Trump was election interference because they wanted to drive it into the American psyche that orange man bad. You shouldn't vote for him again. I mean, think about what they did, all the things they did, and now it's coming out that Trump was right once again. So that's it. Thanks a lot. Thanks for spending time with us, and we'll see you in the next one.